outrage growing as new details emerge from the millions of newly released Justice Department records on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. They include Epstein's messages with powerful men. In these messages from 2013, the convicted sex offender connecting New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch with various women. In one exchange, Tisch asked about a woman writing pro or civilian. In a statement, Tisch acknowledging a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult women, but saying I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went to his island.
Hold on now. Let's go back. Thanks, Jeffrey. Curious to know about what's her name. I will contact what's her name. Somebody. Is she a pro or a civilian? So prostitute or civilian? Sound like he was going there to me, but let's keep going.
As we all know now, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with. And amongst the thousands of photos, these never-before-seen images of former Prince Andrew, who was stripped of his royal titles last year over his relationship with Epstein. Now seen here, crouched over a young woman, her face redacted, the date and context of the interaction unclear. Representatives for Andrew have not responded to a request for comment. Now, even UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is calling for Andrew to testify, saying, I have always said anybody who has got information should be prepared to share that information in whatever form they are asked to do that. And new information unearthed on what exactly law enforcement knew about Epstein's crimes, including this stunning prosecution memo and draft indictment written nearly 2 decades ago. Across 45 pages, prosecutors in Florida detailing disturbing evidence they gathered against the financier, calling him, quote, a continued danger to the community based upon his continued enticement of underage girls.
From 2007.
But that 60-count indictment never filed. Instead, Epstein landing a now infamous deal allowing him to plead guilty to lesser state prostitution charges, for which he served just 13 months in a Florida jail. Some of Epstein's victims now furious with the Justice Department, saying many of their names were left unredacted and exposed in this latest release. Epstein survivor Charlene Rochard telling me the Justice Department has once again violated their privacy.
I have seen things that relate to me, and people I know have not been redacted at all. Their full names are out there, and especially Jane Doe's are fully out there. And they asked especially that their names are redacted, and they're just not.
Now, the Justice Department said they did work with victims for those redactions and are encouraging them to reach out if they have any concerns. But lawmakers have questions, too, including the bipartisan pair who spearheaded this effort to release the files in the first place. They're now asking the Justice Department for a full look at those unreleased files, though there is no word yet on when that might happen.
And you said that.
Now, let me say something. They asked the Department of Justice just asked the people, I guess the people they was working with to get all their stuff redacted, if you see anything, come and talk to us. What is that going to do? The files are released. They are downloaded on people's computers. People are going through and put them into AI processing to get every little detail, exactly whose name is mentioned. It's out there now. There's no. What else can you do? You're going to go back and redact them, but the unredacted files are already out.
There are 3 million still outstanding.
Certainly, that the Justice Department said they couldn't release for various reasons, whether that's concerns about child sex abuse material or victim information, but still millions of pages that lawmakers now say they want to see to make sure that DOJ is complying.
It is also deeply
absolutely crazy. Let's go over to this next video where they talk about what happened with the President of the United States and how some of his stuff is in there.
All right, the Trump administration is now facing backlash this morning after its partial release of additional Jeffrey Epstein case files. On Friday, the Justice Department released 3 million documents and photos related to the convicted sex offender. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says their review is over and indicated there would be no new charges. Epstein victims and Democrats are slamming these developments, saying they want more answers and accountability. Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna says he wants to meet with Blanche.
He said he's open to meeting with members of Congress. He's said he's open to explaining why the redactions were done. So I hope that we will have a meeting. If we don't get the remaining files, if we do not get the remaining 302 forms, the remaining prosecution memo from 2019, and if the survivors are not happy, then Thomas Massie and I are prepared to move on impeachment or contempt.
Now, these files include hundreds of references to President Trump, who's never been charged with any wrongdoing. Mr. Trump says the newly released documents absolve him. We've got team coverage on this for you this morning. CBS News foreign correspondent Remi Inocencio is outside Buckingham Palace covering former Prince Andrew's inclusion in the Epstein files. But first, CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman is with us in studio to break it all down. Katrina, good morning. This is a substantial release of documents. What, if anything, though, is new?
So we're seeing a number of things, Errol, including people from Trump's inner circle who had claimed to not have connections with Epstein or have not spent time with him. And now we're seeing information that they actually did go to the island or maybe try to. For instance, with Elon Musk, there's an email where he says, "What day or night will be the wildest party on your island?" This was written to Jeffrey Epstein in 2012. And he had previously said that he had no interest in going to that island. He has responded and said, "If I actually wanted to spend my time partying with young women, it would be trivial for me to do so without the help of a creepy loser like Epstein, and I would still have 99% of my mind available to think about other things." Another person that has come out in these new documents is Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. He and his family, it looks like, spent time on the island with Epstein. Also, he appears to have had a lunch with Epstein. Someone wrote back on the behalf of Epstein and said it was nice to see him, to Howard Lutnick. Lutnick's response was, "I spent zero time with him." So we're seeing more and more connections come out. Also, a lot of mentions of President Trump, including in unverified tips to the FBI. Of course, none of these men have actually been accused of any wrongdoing. With Trump, also, someone who worked with Epstein told investigators that he did see Trump at the house. Trump has said that actually these documents absolve him of any wrongdoing, but just more and more information coming out here.
And despite the mentions of Mr. Trump, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who formerly was Mr. Trump's private attorney, he downplayed any allegations or information from the files. Let's just quickly play for our viewers what he had to say.
It's not about President Trump. It's about a ton of people, multiple people that were, quote, in the Epstein files. And what I think folks will see when they review the materials we released is that there have been hundreds of calls made to the FBI where allegations are made by either anonymous individuals or people who are very quickly determined to not be credible, whether it's the nature of what they're saying or the fact they won't provide any information or corroboration. And that's part of the Epstein files.
And Blanche also suggested there will be no new charges. So where does all of this go from here?
I mean, Errol, this is not done. People feel that there are still millions of documents that are not being released here. I believe about 3 million documents left. Todd Blanche has said that they are done releasing any documents. Now, Democratic members of the House Judiciary Committee are asking for a full review of these documents. They want to see what's left. There's also the redactions, Errol. Those need to be scrutinized. What was redacted? Also, what wasn't? It's important to highlight that there was supposed to be an effort to protect the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein here. And some people who had been Jane Does, their names ended up getting revealed in this latest document dump. I mean, the Justice Department says it's because they're going through so many documents. It's hard for them to see everything. But this is by no means done. As we also heard earlier, Rep. Ro Khanna said that there could be potential contempt or impeachment proceedings if officials do not comply here.
All right, Katrina Kaufman.
Now it's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. Let's get over into that no new charges thing. So let's get over now.
A top Justice Department official plays down the chances of charges coming from the latest round of Epstein files, the documents focusing fresh attention on the financiers' links to powerful individuals all around the world. It has also brought back questions about what, if any, knowledge these contacts had about Epstein's crimes. Fox's Madeline Rivera has that story from Washington.
Fallout continues after the latest release of Jeffrey Epstein documents. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche talked about the potential of more charges coming against any possible co-conspirators.
There's a lot of emails, there's a lot of photographs, there's a lot of horrible photographs that appear to be taken by Mr. Epstein or people around him, but that doesn't allow us necessarily to prosecute somebody, and that's what's important for the American people.
Still, some lawmakers say that's not enough.
I do think the prosecution needs to look at seriously bringing charges.
The Justice Department has recently released more than 3 million pages of materials related to the deceased convicted sex offender. The files reveal more of Epstein's communications with some prominent public figures, both in the U.S. and abroad, even after he served time for sex crimes.
The American people are asking, how are rich and powerful people living in this country? What moral code are they living by? Some of those revelations are deeply disturbing.
While the Justice Department admits it has redacted a small amount of all the files to protect the victims, some are convinced there are more documents that should be released.
They've released, at best, half the documents, but even those shock the conscience of this country.
We have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. We never did. The entire world can look at now and see if we got it wrong.
All those named in the recently released files have denied having anything to do with Epstein's sexual abuse of girls and young women. In Washington, Mather.
I wonder if any files just like depicted the sexual abuse so people can be charged. But if they didn't, it's just them showing a freaky part. But it's still a crazy situation. Let's get over into. So we know that a lot of photos have been released, and I haven't gone through it. A lot of them. The main ones that we've seen is this one that they talk about right here. But let's just go through. This website just showed a couple of the photos. Some crazy stuff. In a pool. Dinner with Bill Clinton. Him in the bathtub. What is wrong with this? Him meeting with Steve Bannon. I don't know who that is. You got Trump and his wife and Glenn. I don't even know how to say her name. Massages for dummies and worn out. Bill Gates. Oh my, Chris Tucker. Got pills. Oh, this is crazy. Now, I don't know if some of these pictures have already been released from the last stuff, but he knew a lot of people. Is he in the Saudi Arabia stuff? Absolutely crazy. Let's go over into the AI breakdown, just because. Just because. So, as we know, they released 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images related to Jeffrey Epstein. This release was mandated by the Epstein Files Transparency Act, signed into law by Donald Trump in November 2025. Now, do y'all think he's hiding something? They're saying that some of the files are redacted. Should we have access to everything non-redacted? It's a question. So on January 30th, the DOJ published what is termed to be the final production of files, bringing the total release under the Transparency Act to 3.5 million pages. Although the DOJ has closed its review, lawmakers and advocates point out that the department previously identified over 6 million pages are potentially responsive, meaning nearly half of the files remain unreleased. Attorneys for the Epstein victims have called for immediate shutdown of the DOJ Epstein Library website, alleging widespread failures to redact the names and identifying information of the survivors. It's too late. Once it became active, it became downloaded everywhere. All them pages are inside of AIs everywhere, breaking down every single thing. So the key findings in the new files. So the files contain over 38,000 references to Trump and his inner circle. They include summaries of more than a dozen unverified tips received by the FBI uh, regarding allegations of sexual abuse. The DOJ has characterized these specific claims as unfounded and false. So you got Prince Andrew. New emails suggest that he invited Epstein to the Buckingham Palace in 2010 after Epstein's house arrest ended. Photos also appeared to show the former prince in a compromising position, leading to the calls from the prime minister for his to testify before Congress. You got Bill Gates and Elon Musk. So emails show Epstein attempting to maintain or leverage relationships with both billionaires. Correspondence suggests that Musk and Epstein discussed potential visits to the island in 2012 and 2013. Through Musk maintained he declined the invitation. Did he decline it? Do we have evidence that he actually agreed to come at some point? The former UK ambassador was fired and later resigned from the Labour Party after files revealed supportive messages to Epstein following his 2008 conviction and bank records showing payments from Epstein's account. And then you got other individuals such as Richard Branson, who exchanged friendly emails with Epstein in 2013, Steve Tisch, New York Giants co-owner, who acknowledged a brief association regarding movies and philanthropy. So again, no client list. A July 2025 DOJ memo concluded that the client list used for blackmail does not exist within evidence. But will you truly believe them would they truly tell us if it did exist? So a newly released draft indictment from 2000 show a prosecutor once considered charging three unnamed co-conspirators alongside Epstein for facilitating appointments with minors. So files include a psychological report and Epstein's investigation records confirming the official finding in his 2019 death with a suicide. What allegations against Trump are in the Epstein files? Oh, that's a good question. Contain numerous references to Donald Trump. While the files include several high-profile allegations, the DOJ has characterized many of them as unfounded and false. So you got FBI tips. You got the 1994 Jane Doe rape allegations. The files contain an FBI form detailing a complaint from an anonymous woman, Jane Doe, who accused Trump of raping her when she was 13 years old in 1994. These documents mirror a 2016 lawsuit that the accuser later dropped. Trump has consistently denied the claims. And then internal 2021 FBI memo recounts an interview with a victim who stated that Glastein once presented her to Trump as a party. However, the witness explicitly noted that nothing happened between her and Trump during the brief interaction. There's a lot of stuff in here. You got him showing on the private plane. We know about that. And then the files include a memo regarding a teenager who worked at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club before recruited to the by Maxwell to work for Epstein. It's a lot of crazy stuff. There's a lot of pages out there that need to be reviewed. But what are your thoughts? Do you think they're telling us everything? Do you think they're leaving some stuff out? Should everything just be released non-redacted? But then the victims are going to be exposed. Is that the way to make sure that everyone believes everything? But even if, would they truly believe that they release everything if they did? Let me know your thoughts on that whole situation, y'all. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy world, but we got to review the world together, y'all. We have to review the world together.